Well, good morning. How are you all today? Apparently, we have a massive cell phone outage across the United States. You can go to that down detector and find out kind of what's down. But a lot of the major cities, looks like California. I'll probably put up a screenshot for the thumbnail showing it. But it looks like down through the Midwest, Texas, through the South. Uh, what caused it? We're getting and who it's affecting and what caused it. Of course, like with so many things, we're getting conflicting information. The first report out was that it was AT&T only. Verizon, T-Mobile, all those are saying no, it hasn't affected us. But then there are other sources saying that it does affect others. And whether it's a glitch in the system, whether it's a sabotage, whether it's who knows what it is, or whether it's a solar flare. Now, one of the first things that I saw this morning was something out of Ice Guy, and I'll read it to you. It says gigantic solar flare. We're going to talk about how it affects you and what maybe we should do about these things in the future to get ready. It says gigantic solar flare causes worldwide communication blackout affecting millions. So is that it? Hard to know, and it doesn't matter why. If you're out, you're out. Of course, it might make a difference as to how soon it is corrected. Let me read just a couple of paragraphs here. It says, and this is put out today, just this morning, a couple hours ago. In an unprecedented event that seems straight out of a science fiction movie, a massive solar flare has struck Earth, leading to widespread communication disruptions across the globe. The massive burst of solar energy, known for its potential to disrupt electronic equipment and communications networks, has left millions without cell phone service, severely impacting daily life and business operations. Time of the reporting, newsroom staff, along with countless others around the world, find themselves cut off from cellular networks. Some devices display an SOS message indicating emergency communication modes are in effect, while others fail to connect to any network whatsoever. It goes beyond. You can imagine how this can affect not just calling your kids or your spouse, but it affects business. Let me continue to read this here for a minute. It says the scale of the disruption became apparent after reports started flooding in on Down Detector website, a platform that tracks real-time outages and issues affecting various services. User reports specifically pointed to significant problems with AT&T's network, though it's becoming clear that the outage is not limited to a single provider. Similar issues are being reported globally, hinting at the extensive reach of the solar flare's impact. Now, okay, they're working on the assumption that this is the result of the solar flare. Possibly, very possibly. That's one of the dangers. Is one of the issues that we have with CMEs striking Earth, and there's a couple of X classes coming at us right now. That the first line of potential damage is communication satellites. So let me continue this and then we'll get back to it. The fallout from this event is far-reaching. Rideshare drivers for services like Uber and Lyft are unable to receive ride requests. So you can imagine how that snarls business and traffic in the larger cities, effectively halting their operations and leaving passengers stranded. Food delivery services are also taking a hit, with orders unable to go through, impacting both consumers and businesses alike. Essentially, any business that relies heavily on cell phone communications is facing unprecedented challenges. Says the situation serves as a stark reminder, obviously, of our modern society's vulnerability to the forces of nature, particularly solar phenomena. Solar flares, known scientifically as coronal mass ejections, are. I think there's a slight different. Well, okay, I'm not going to get into the science of it. massive bursts of energy and plasma from the sun that reach Earth. Okay, we know all that. That's what my books were about, right? CME that takes everything down. You know, I had somebody come on again yesterday and say, and just deride me for advertising my books. Oh my gosh. I'm a writer. If you're new to me, I'm a writer. I wrote 6 books on the effects of CME and grid down, communications down, things like that. If you're interested in them, the links are down below. And just to tick off the person who thinks that I shouldn't let anybody know what I do for a living, here are the books, the Stonemont series. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune, available on Amazon or through me, stonemont.us. There we go. You know why I do that? Because that's what I do for a living. I don't do YouTube for a living, but I come on here to share information, to try to help people. And somebody that said that said, if you really wanted to help people, you wouldn't advertise your books. You know why I say that? It doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But I just like to share with you all good people the kind of junk that comes in the comments that I have to take on. Let's get back to this communication situation. Whatever the situation is, it poses a problem. Okay, not just not being able to call up your mom for a recipe or something like that, but it has its effect on the economy, on safety, on security, emergency services. It could affect many things. Whether it is as the result of the solar flare, don't know. If it's affecting other networks besides AT&T, you would think that that's a good possibility. If, as the article says, it is worldwide, you would expect that. Now Fox News, and I don't check any other news this early in the morning. I certainly don't check CNN or MSNBC. They're saying that it's just AT&T. I don't know. I haven't checked Down Detector because I'm not so concerned with the immediate situation as I am with the potential for ongoing situations, because that's what we want to deal with. What this points out to us is, of course, as the article implied, and as you all know, is all our vulnerability to our communications being taken out. Safety and security is, of course, one thing, and just business as a whole is another thing. The loss of business in this is going to be measured in millions and billions of dollars. Okay, so potentials: solar flare could be, sabotage could be, a squirrel getting into who knows what. Probably not, because it's happening. If you look at the Down Detector map, it'll show you that it's happening in a number of large cities. So that would show me that it's not happening up in it's not happening in Kansas, the Dakotas, Wyoming, Montana, Colorado. I don't know exactly. I took a glance at the map and I don't remember. A couple of things to keep in mind on this. The first thing was your communications in your family and your group are vitally important. It takes me back to when I tell my kids that when I was a kid, we didn't have cell phones. They just can't imagine it, right? We didn't have computers. That was science fiction stuff, and we did fine. The reason we did fine is because of verbal communications and keeping in touch with each other. We knew where everyone was. We knew when everyone was expected to be home, and where they were going to be between point A and point B. That was just normal communications. One of the first things that I write in my first book, The Reversion, was when everything went down, and Jim was up trying to buy his barbecue sandwich. He wasn't worried because he knew that Kelly would be at home. Why? Because she hadn't told him she was going anywhere else. That's the first part of communications. Knowing that, and you can get along just fine. staying within easy reach of home is something that I suggest. Now, I know that not everyone can do that. We had a question. I had a question. I think it was on the last video that I put on YouTube. And guys, I have to say here, I don't put most stuff on YouTube anymore. I just don't, because of the silliness of YouTube and the asinine comments that I so often get. I don't get any of that on Patreon. Yes, this is an invitation for you all to come to Patreon. You get so much more there, and you don't. It's an entirely different kind of community. We have fine people on YouTube. I don't mean that we don't, but we have a lot of troublesome people, and we don't have any of that on Patreon. If you'd like to join us over there, you should. I put so much more over there, and the link is down below. Cost you $1 a month. But just a second. Okay, so one of the questions that I had was, well, it was somebody, I think it was somebody's husband that drives, is out of town for 7 or 8 weeks at a time, and he's quite a distance away. It seems like it was west coast to Chicago or something like that. I can't imagine that, to be honest. I know that it's what some people do. Okay, I don't think it's optimal. But it's what some people do, and she was asking about, possible communications solutions to it. I referred her to our ham group on the Patreon channel because those guys are super smart. I don't know a lot about ham. I know next to nothing about ham. I know how to spell it. That's about it. But whether ham is a potential communications solution, I don't know. Check with our ham section over on the Patreon channel. I'm sure they'll have an answer for it. But one of the things that I recommend to people from a purely preparedness standpoint is stay close to home. We, at any time, our entire family is no more than a few miles away from each other. We even selected our jobs. When we used to work corporate jobs, we got jobs about 1.5 miles from our home. 5 minutes it took me to drive from my driveway to the parking lot, got out of the car, went into work, okay? And it probably would have been a 20-minute walk because I wouldn't have had to stop for stoplights. So if you're able to stay close to home, I think that's the best way to do it. It's simply a matter of, we're very mobile today, and people think that, they like to travel, and they move places away from their family for jobs, and that can be very dangerous. I'll do a whole nother one on that because I can see that I can go down that road quite a ways. But the extent to which you can stay close to home and close to your support system and close to your team, that's optimal. Okay, and then communications. Let everyone know where you are, where you're going to be, how long you're going to be there, when you're going to leave there. Within a reasonable amount of time, and get your kids to understand also, or your grandkids or whoever. This isn't a matter of trying to control them. This is a matter of safety and security, and of making sure that everybody is as safe as can be. And if you'll let them feel as if they're a part of the team, they won't resent it. And I can tell you that's true because of how we do our kids. They know how important it is to keep us. And a couple times, the older one went someplace without letting us know, and both times bad things happened. What a lesson that is, right? But he was able to understand why mom and dad told him those things. And it wasn't anything bad. It was him giving friends a ride, and farther than he should have, and not letting us know ahead of time because he didn't want to wake us up. So that's, in case you're watching this, Aiden, that's just, I'm letting everybody know you're not so anyway, but do that. Keep that in mind. Stay close to home. Let everybody know where you are. Now, here's the other thing. If this were, and I just got a text from a friend of mine who I think uses iPhone, and was Android. he said he heard on the news that they were telling Android users how to use Wi-Fi instead of the cell network. So I don't know whether this was a network issue with just AT&T, whether it goes beyond that, like some news sources are reporting, whether it's mainly an Android problem, whether it's mainly an iPhone problem. I don't know. But a couple of things occurred to me, and that is that if you want the optimal communications backup security with your cell phones, you might want to consider having phones on different networks and different kinds of phones. Now we have different kinds of phones. In that we have both iPhones and Androids here. All the kids have iPhones, and then we have business phones that are iPhones, and then Kelly and I use Androids because that's what we're used to, right? Yes, I'm thinking about going over to iPhone. But we all are on the same carrier. And if it's a carrier problem, it's a hack or something like that, that leaves us vulnerable if it's our carrier who's hacked. So I'm going to consider, it would be fairly pricey, to be honest, to give everybody, make sure that everybody in the family had both iPhone and Android and had, two carriers. And I'm not going to do that. I think what I might look into is getting a couple of phones on a separate carrier. Just so that there's one at home or one with either Kelly or I at the time, and then one with the kids, because they all go to school right across the street from each other. They're all right there together, so that we would be able to maintain communications if a particular carrier gets hacked or a particular type of phone gets down. I don't know, whatever. So those are the thoughts. We'll see what happens. So often are we going to know the real reason for this? Well, the people who want to promote CMEs and solar flares, they're going to maintain that it's CME or a solar flare. The people who feel that it's a hack, we probably won't know, because the carriers aren't going to tell us, and probably our government isn't going to tell us. And if they do, are they telling us the truth? I keep having somebody walk in front of me. Whatever. Are they telling us the truth? That's the thing. We don't know. And so it's best just to, if you can, think about what's right for you. If you can have a separate phone, another phone on a separate carrier, just kind of for some communications insurance. If you can have both an iPhone and an Android, just for a little insurance. I know most people can and don't want to and don't want to spend the extra money. I get it. I'm just throwing that out for anybody who might want to consider it. Okay, we'll see what happens with this. I want to remind you that this and all of my videos are brought to me by, yes, my books. The thing that ticks off at least one or two people every time I make a video, that I would dare let everybody know that what I really am is a writer. And I wrote the Stonemont series, the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. 6 novels in serial form, talking about how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse of everything, in this case a CME. Guess what? That takes down all the phones and everything else. And if you're not with us on Patreon, I'd like to invite you to come over, simply because we put so much stuff over there that never gets to YouTube, because to be honest, I just don't like to put up with the silliness that I meet with on YouTube for the most part. And when it comes to this, check out the ham section. And when you go there, and somebody asks, how do I find the collections? When you go to our main page on the Patreon channel, and the link is down below, it's $1 a month. Then you click collections. Doesn't mean that somebody's trying to collect money from you. It means collection. I don't know why they called it that. They should have called it, I don't know what they should have called it, but it's misleading. Go to collections, and on there you will see a number of collections. And one is ham, and then a new one that I just put in is gardening. It's gardening time, guys. If you haven't got your garden in, it's time to start to think about it. And I know most people, from my my position north, it's a little early to get out there, but it's not too early to be planting your garden. It's not too early to be starting seeds indoors. And if you haven't gotten your seeds, get your seeds. I just put up information on there where I get heirloom seeds. And there's just a lot of great people on Patreon that you will enjoy being a part of, and that you will get a lot of information of. And if you're a person who has a lot of skills in a certain area, it lets you share those skills and help other people, and that's what we're all about, right? So anyway, hope your phone's working. We'll see what happens with this. Understand the importance of communications, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Y'all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.